Alright, so we're going to get started on something I'm kind of excited about. If I could just find it. Alright. Some variations on a theme. Sexual life. Alright, this came from the web activity in section 7.1 online. Your teacher actually goes into it, so I'm sure you probably need to know the differences between all of these. One thing to keep in mind for every single one of these is that all gametes are haploid and all zygotes are diploid, no matter what. How they get there might be a different process for each one, but all gametes are haploid and all zygotes are diploid. Make sense? I'm going to show this a lot because this is going to help, because there might be a trick question. That's how my teacher was, okay? All gametes are haploid, all zygotes are diploid. Alright, so we're going to start with the first one. Your teacher did it the way the book did it, and I didn't like that because we are not comfortable with haplonic first. So we're going to start with diplonic. Alright? So, who can have the diplonic sexual life? Animals and plants. Me, you, and the fern. Okay? I copied the charts because I really liked them. They made a lot of sense to me. So what you do need to keep in mind is that all gametes are haploid and all zygotes are diploid. Notice, zygote is in the diploid stage. Gamete is in the haploid stage, okay? We get to gametes via, meiosis, right here. See that? If we go like this, we're going this way, okay? Just so you know, we don't do this way. We do this way, clockwise. Alright, so we get to gametes via meiosis, and then in order to get a zygote, we go through fertilization. That's always been the rule. How do we get a zygote? A haploid plus a haploid, correct? Equals a diploid. Alright. So, gametes form via meiosis, not mitosis. This is really important because in haplonic and alternation of generation, it's different, okay? So for diplonic, the mature animal is diploid. Gametes form via meiosis and not mitosis. And the zygote is also diplonic, okay? Go ahead and pause if you need to. Alright. Alright, so the next one we're going to move on to is actually haplonic. So I'm doing this a little bit out of order because it just makes more sense in my opinion. Alright, haplonic. Let me just go to my little screen here. Make sure I'm giving you all the right. Okay. So, who is the culprit of a haplonic lifestyle? Alright, well, protists honestly, they just freak me out. But protists, fungi, and some algae. Some algae. Okay? Now, I want you to remember, all gametes are haploid and all zygotes are diploid. Alright, so here's the chart for haplonic. You can see here that the zygote is in fact diploid. And you can see up here that the gametes are in fact haploid. Now the way by which they get to those stages are a little bit different. Now what I like to think about here is that the diplonic life, they are mostly, like, their whole life they are diploid, okay? The haplonic, you can see here that the mature animal, most of their life, with the exception of the zygote stage, they are haploid. Okay? Alright. The zygote is the only stage in this life, or this organism's life, that is diploid. Alright? It is the only one. That's why they're haplonic, because they're almost always haploid, with the exception of the zygote. Alright? The zygote via meiosis leads to spores. Whenever I do arrows, usually that means leads to. All right? And then I wrote little, it's really hard to see, but you can see there, I wrote meiosis. So it says the zygote, which is 2N, through meiosis leads to spores, which are haploid, which through germination, leads to a mature haploid organism. The gametes, in this case, are made via mitosis. Now remember, the diplonic, the gametes were made via meiosis. Haplonic, gametes are made via mitosis. However, what still doesn't change is that all gametes are haploid and all zygotes are diploid. All right? This is very important. So if you need to, go ahead and pause on this. Oh, you know, I'm covering kind of it. Go ahead and pause on this. Okay. Now, this one's a little bit weird. I'm not going to lie. I don't really like it. But we're going to go over it anyway. Alternation of generations. Okay. So, who can do this type of lifestyle? We got plants and some fucking creepy protists. I hate protists. I really do. I've always hated them. Alright, so here's the little schematic that I put together for you. Now you can see that it's totally up for, it's half and half here. We got half pink, half blue. But that still does not null and void this rule. All gametes are haploid and all zygotes are diploid. Always. Always, okay? I'm telling you, it's gonna help. Alright. So now I'm almost positive that you're not going to need all these stupid little in between the sporophyte and the gametophyte, but realistically they all kind of flow together nicely. I guess science works that way, huh? Alright, so we're just going to do it this way. You follow this clockwise, okay? Clockwise. Alright, we're going to start here. Here's our zygote. We're going to start with the zygote. The zygote is diploid. The zygote then becomes a sporophyte, which I guess is the same thing as a zygote. The zygote is the sporophyte. It's like a pre-spore. Alright? So in order for the zygote to become a sporophyte, it doesn't tell us. But for a sporophyte to become a spore, it needs to divide via meiosis. You can see up here, here's the sporophyte going up here to meiosis, and now it's a spore. So it just went from diploid to haploid. So whenever meiosis happens, you're going to go from diploid to haploid. Okay? Whenever meiosis happens, you're going to take your zygote / sporophyte, and it's going to become a spore / haploid cell. That's kind of like the pseudogamete of the plant world. All right, it just has a special coat over it, really. Then germination happens. So you can see here, meiosis leads to spores. Mitosis leads to gametes, and then the zygote leads to spores via meiosis. Okay. So go ahead, take a picture. All right, that's my rundown of those three life cycles. All right.